In this video, let's talk about components and variants in Penpot. Let's say we design a button like this and we use it everywhere. So maybe like this, an outline button, or button with an arrow, or a tonal button, or a ghost button, for example. Let's say now the client says we need to change the color, maybe the border radius and the shape. I'll change the border radius and maybe the color as well. So I expect this change to propagate to every other button here, or else we have to do it manually for every button. So that's going to be a tedious task, and it's going to be impossible to manage at scale. So this is exactly why components and variants matter. Today we'll build a scalable button system and we'll use component and variant for that. So I have a new document. I'll first create a button with a height of around 52 pixels and I'll give it a border radius of 999 and a blue tone, blue accent. I'll select the text tool and add the button title. I have DM Sans 600 weight. I'll change it to a white color and move it into the board. Let's create a flex layout and center it horizontally and vertically, and remove the horizontal and vertical padding. And for the column gap, I'll give 8 pixels. So when you add elements here, you will have a gap of 8 pixels. Let's say I duplicate this, Control D. Now we have 8 pixels between these two because of the column gap. Now double click to rename this into button. We have created our first button. Let's centralize these colors as well. So go to tokens, and under tokens you can create a set. Let's name it theme. Copy this color and let's create an accent color and paste this and save and activate this. And let's create another one and give it an almost black with a white text, maybe an accent light as well. Now we have 4 colors, so let's apply it to the button. Instead of this, we go to the color tokens and apply the accent and select the text. Do the same thing, we apply the foreground light. So now we have tokens attached to it just for the sake of organization. Now let's create a component out of this button so that we can reuse it everywhere. So right click and create component, or you can use Ctrl K. Now we have this button component. You can see the icon. We have a diamond and a circle for the button. So if you go to assets panel now, you can see under components you have the button. So to use it, we just have to drag it to the screen, and you can see this is the instance or the child. So under layers you can see a child component has a diamond and the parent component has the circle inside it. So what we can do is we can create various components and you will get the changes immediately when you do it to the parent. So I'll make this 0. You can see the changes are propagated to the children as well. Let's say I am changing the color of this, so it's going to show up in the children as well. I'll delete this for now. Make sure you are renaming these just for the organization sake and also for component variants. I'll rename it title. Now let's say we want to create another button with a different type, maybe an outline button. So for that we can create button variants. You can press this to create a variant, or you can just right click and create variant out of this. You can see as soon as we created another variant, we get a property for the button component. So this is the button component, and we have a common property for both these with a property name called property 1 with a value 1 and value 2. So what we are going to do is we are going to rename this property. So if you select this, or you can select any of this and rename the property. I'll rename it to type so that we can distinguish the button type. And we have the value 1 and value 2 for these buttons respectively. For the value 1, I'll give a fill button. Second one would be an outline button. We'll make it outlined. Now we'll be true to the type and modify this accordingly. So for the fill, we remove the fill and we add a stroke, maybe 2 pixels. And for the color, we go to the tokens and select the accent color. Select the text. Maybe you have to control click to select it and give it an accent color. Now you see the type, we have the type fill and type outline. So let's say we want to use this button. We go to the assets panel and we drag it to the canvas. Now we have the child, the instance of this component, the button component. And you can see the controls here. We have the type of fill or outline. So I can change this to match what I need. So you can create different types of variants based on this. So I'll go here, I'll change the direction of this container. It doesn't matter, just for the demonstration sake. Now what we have is 2 variants and we need another one for the ghost button and the tonal button. So I'll base it out of this and click plus to create another variant. Now we can see we get a value 3. I'll rename it to ghost. Now for a ghost button, we don't need a fill, we just need the text, and let's make it an accent color. We now need a tonal button, so I'll base off of this, create plus, and instead of the accent, I'm going to give it an accent light, and for the text, accent color. Maybe we can reduce the opacity of the token even a little bit, 15%. So now we have 4 variants. And if you go to this place, we have the value for, we haven't changed it yet. Make it tonal. Now if you select the child, you can see you can change between these. Now let's say we want to create an icon button. First we need to import an icon. So I'll go here to tabular icons, tabular.io. I'll select a filled icon, copy the SVG and Control V to paste it here. You can see we have the home icon with the SVG folder and the path in here. What I'm going to do is wrap this inside a board, selection to board. So now we have a board and inside the board we have the SVG folder. I'll double click and rename it to icon. We have the icon. Now make it a component. Right click and create component. Now we have the icon component. I'll remove the fill for now. Now we have an icon component. So if we want to create another button with an icon, what we do is we select this. We want the fill to be there, so we'll give it a fill. But now we can create a new property for the icon. So let's create it and let's name it left icon and give it a value of true, so that there's a left icon. There should be one. So now we have this component. So what I'm going to do is, you can just drag it from here or you can duplicate this, so you will get a child component. I'll drag it out of here and I'll place it here. Now you can see we have the icon component here. Let's change its color. Click this and under selected colors you can change it to foreground color here for now. Now we have this home icon. Select this and instead of the foreground, let's make it foreground light. So now we have the icon here, but we have an issue, right? For these we have the left icon of value 1, 2, 3, 4. What I'm going to do is press shift to select these 4 buttons and let's give it a false value because we don't have a left icon. This left icon true. So if you go to a child, you can see it turns into a toggle. When you add true or false here, only true and false values, you will see a toggle. So now you can toggle this to create the icon, but we have a problem here. If you noticed, we cannot change this icon. So for this, what we have to do is we have to create icon variants for the icon component so that we can swap the icons based on the context. You can see we have a component nested inside another component. So this is where it becomes useful. instead of only one icon, we are going to create another variant out of it. So let's create a variant. Now we have the property 1 with value 1 and 2 for these. Select this and you can rename the property to name so that we can identify the icon by name, and select the first icon and give it a name of home. And for the second icon, let's replace this home icon with another icon. For example, let's do location, copy the SVG and Ctrl V to paste it. Now we have this SVG. We'll delete the previous SVG. You can delete. So it's value 2. I'll rename it to location. Now we have home and location. Also make sure you have the same structure for the icons under home SVG, because what happens is variants stay connected if they share the same name and are the same type and the same hierarchy level. So if you have a button and a button, and instead of two different names, if it's image and image, it will work out, and so on. You can refer to this. So in that case, make sure to give it a foreground. Now we have the same hierarchy, SVG, same name. Now if we create a child component out of this, and let's say we change this to accent, and if I change the icon, the accent should remain. It happens because we have shared the same name, SVG. Let's say we have this SVG2. If I switch between these, you see the color is lost. But if I say I rename it back to SVG, now if I give it an accent, it should remain even when we change the icons. I hope that makes sense. Now I'll add another variant, another icon, maybe star. Yep. Paste it. While selecting, paste it. Select this and press delete on your keyboard. Now for value 3, rename it to star, and then for the selected color, give it the foreground color. And you can make some more icons. Now if you go to this component, you can hot swap the icons based on the context, maybe location, and even you can change this text. You can maybe duplicate this button, Ctrl D to duplicate, and you can create different types of variants based on this. So if you want to create an outline, so you want to create the next variant and you want the left icon to be true, go to assets, drag your icon, maybe change it to the accent. Now you have an outline button with an icon. Same here, add a variant, bring in the icon, change its color, and for this, now you have the left icon. Even create another with a right icon. Select this, give it a left icon of false. Make sure you have the left icon to be true here, and under here we already have the left one, so I'll create another property called right icon and true. So instead of left, I'm just going to switch it, tap the arrow key to switch the places. Now we have the right icon, but for these we don't have a right icon, so we are gonna select all of these, press shift to select these and give it a value of false. So now we have created the variant successfully. Ctrl D to duplicate this, and we can have a right icon. Since we don't have left and right icons, we can't switch both, so we are going to do a right icon with an outline, and let's control click and change it to a star. Add to favorites. The left icon should be false here, and maybe another variant with a tonal button and a different icon. Yeah, so we can create infinite amounts of variants based off of this. Hope you learned something new. Thanks for watching.